everyone. It's Andrew with Rancilio. Today we're going to be looking at temperature profiling technology with RS1. So the RS1 has independent groups, and each of these groups are capable of doing what's called temperature profiling. And temperature profiling is technology that is not really new for Rancilio. We've been doing this technology for about 7 years now. And we've really been perfecting this technology over each iteration. So this is the third generation of temperature profiling technology. And with this iteration, we really took what we kind of built on with the technology and really just added to it. So we rerouted the hydraulics for the group. So the thermosiphon circuit is a little bit shorter. The boiler is actually rotated so that circuit is shorter. We've added a heating element to each group, so each group has its own boiler and then a heating element on the actual group. And adding the heating element on the group is necessary to really control the thermodynamics of the espresso as it's brewing. We also switched to stainless steel for the build components for the group and for the boiler, and that also gives us a lot more ability to move temperature up and down whenever we're temperature profiling espresso. Now, before we really get into actually doing temperature profiling, I want to talk a little bit about why we would temperature profile. So what is most common for espresso machines is to brew flat temperature. And really focusing on brewing flat and the very quality-driven focus on brewing flat with espresso really came about as a counter to inconsistent brew temperatures you would get at the espresso, like temperature profiling when you don't want to. So brewing flat was a very quality-driven movement towards espresso that has really produced a lot of high-quality espresso. So why do we want a temperature profile? So the reason why we temperature profile is because we're able to have essentially a more nimble tool to determine what we want to extract from the espresso and at what point. And when you think about temperature as well, espresso is the only brew method that we brew on a flat temperature aside from like a siphon. All pour-overs like Chemex or AeroPress or brewing methods, even batch brewers that brew really tasty coffee, they're all brewing on a profile, because as the water hits the coffee bed, you'll see the temperature spike and then drop. So that's what we're doing with the espresso. So let's dig into temperature profiling. All right, so I'm going to pull some shots of espresso. For one, I'm going to brew at a flat temperature profile, and then for a couple others, I'm going to brew at a down temperature profile. I'm going to talk about the different things that are happening to the coffee as it's brewing. So when I'm brewing at a flat profile, the very first 10 to 15 seconds of the shot, the espresso puck is actually warming. So you're actually really brewing on a slightly ramp up profile, even with a flat. And at some point, about 10 to 15 seconds in, depending on your espresso machine, you'll hit your set point temperature and begin brewing at that temperature. So when you think about the gradient that the espresso puck is receiving, it's always receiving some form of a temperature profile. And with the flat temperature, we're just giving it one type of profile. Now, if I take this same coffee and start the profile a degree and a half above, I'm going to pull out a little bit more aromatics of the coffee. Depending on what type of coffee it is, I might be able to pull out some more sweetness there. And really help to pull out those aromatics at the higher temperature and then balance out the extraction towards the end so we don't really over extract some of the bitter elements of the coffee. So with the flat profile, it took this natural Brazil that I'm pulling as espresso, and it delivers a pretty chocolatey shot. It's about 200 degrees Fahrenheit. It's very round and very sweet. But if I take the profile down espresso, I'm getting a little bit more of the sweeter elements, maybe some more raisin coming into the extraction there. It's a little bit more floral. And it kind of opens up the espresso a little bit more as well. This is about 7 days off roast. So this is maybe a profile I would run for a Brazil. So this is just an example of one way you can use the temperature profiling technology to change the extraction of the espresso. You have a lot of different variables that you can play with to drop the extraction even more in temperature or increase the temperature of the extraction towards the end. If you're interested in learning more about the RS1 or about the technology that we use for the temperature profiling technology, check out ranciliospecialty.com and stay tuned for more videos.